disagreement rages over the palliatives promised by President Muhammadu Buhari for Nigerians in the period of lockdown. The National Assembly insists the social investment program does not cover the poorest of the poor in Nigeria. And the police insist lockdown restrictions will be in place during the Easter celebration in places affected by the federal government's movement restriction orders. Stay at home for Easter. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Lagos. Let's tell you that the figure of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria stands today at 276, with 22 new cases, 15 in Lagos, 4 in FCT, 2 in Bauchi, 1 in Edo. 44 have now been discharged with 6 deaths. But good news coming later this evening from the Lagos Isolation Center, which has that 7 more COVID-19 patients have been discharged. This brings the number of discharged patients in Lagos to 39. This might be some good news also for some group of Nigerians who have their families also locked behind bars. President Muhammadu Buhari has today granted presidential pardon to 2,600 inmates nationwide, with 70 of them from Kuje Correctional Center. Out of the total number, President Buhari granted amnesty to 5 ex-convicts, among whom are late Professor Ambrose Lee, late Chief Anthony Enahoro, also Major Olariwaju and Mr. Ajayi Olushola Babalola. The Minister of Interior, Mr. Rauf Aregbesola, explains that the release of the first phase of inmates, the Committee on Presidential Amnesty, will continue to meet regularly to consider those who deserve the benefit. But this information may not go down well with some Nigerians, especially some Christians, those who now live within the areas where the federal government lockdown orders are in effect. The Inspector General of Police, Adamo, has directed the commissioners of police in those states where the social restriction orders have been in place to continue with the due enforcement of the orders. The celebrations of Easter, for the first time in a long time, will be indoors for people living in these areas to curtail the community spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. The police chief is asking Nigerians to see the restrictions in the light of the symbolism of Easter, which connotes sacrifice, tolerance, perseverance, love, and ultimate triumph. And now, perhaps one thing that gives some people some concern, especially those in the National Assembly, and they're not happy with that, is the fact that there seems to be some trouble looming over the issues of palliatives. The leadership of the National Assembly has hit back at a special advisor to the president on social investment, Mrs. Miriam Weiss, that she was misled by her defense and statement over her response on the meeting held with the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. According to the National Assembly, the comments at the meeting were not made to denigrate any official of government, but to make the scheme more effective in the delivery of its critical mandate, and these comments were well taken by the Honorable Minister. According to the National Assembly and our delegation, the Minister was honest enough, according to the leadership of the National Assembly, to admit that the NSIP had some challenges and also bedeviled with intrigues, which she was yet battling with. The National Assembly went further to say it is true that the leadership of the Parliament pointed out gaps in the implementation of the NSIP. As a representative of the people, they say it is a key constitutional mandate of the legislature to oversight, review, and make recommendations for better implementation of important programs of government. The leadership of the National Assembly says their submissions capture the feelings of many Nigerians. Some of the back and forth, or some of the exchanges and the conversations that went down 2 days ago. We will play some of them back for you earlier, later in the program. Those are some of the issues we will stay on, especially some of the argument and the defense of Mrs. Miriam Uwais, who came out yesterday to say some of the submissions of the National Assembly leadership are untrue. Let's get insight on some of these issues. Tonight, I have the chairman of the Senate Committee on Poverty Alleviation and the SIP, Senator Lawal Gamal. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Also with him is Mr. Shegun Tomori. He's a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. We may at some point be speaking to a former chairman of the Borno Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Grema Tarab, who joins us from our Meduguri studio. He's also a public affairs analyst. But let's get started with this. Senator Gamal, let's begin with you. Mrs. Uwais had come forward to say some of the things that were said, the figures that the National Assembly quoting are wrong. The fact that the National Assembly said they're not aware of some of the things that have happened in the distribution of some of these monies and the palliatives are wrong. She also came forward to say, look, the register is in the public domain and the National Assembly are also apprised of some of the dealings within the SIP program. How would you react to this, especially now that the National Assembly has also come out to say, look, she was misled?
Bianga, if at all the truth has to be said, she was the one misleading people, because I was the chairman of this committee in the Earth Assembly. I know how we battled with that woman so that we get transparent process in this SIP, and we couldn't get it. As the chairman of the committee, I here stay with you in my second term as the chairman of the committee. I still cannot explain anything about SIP. And I'm telling you that even Mrs. Uwais cannot explain anything apart from what she has in her computer. She cannot vividly tell you what is happening in Bauchi State. She cannot tell you what is happening in Sokoto State. She cannot tell you what is happening in any of the states. She can only tell you what is happening according to what she was told by the people that are representing her in the state. The objective of this program by Mr. President was to help, as you said, the most vulnerable people, poor people in the country. If the objective was to help the most vulnerable people in the country, then we at the National Assembly are saying that the objective is defeated. Therefore, there is a serious need for review. That is just what we are saying. We are not saying that she has not done anything. We are not saying that anybody is at fault. We are saying that after 4 years, from 2016 to now, there is the need for a review. And the Constitution empowered us to look at anything that is happening there so that we investigate and bring out a SWOT analysis, see the weakness, see the strength, then bring out the suggestion as to how these things will be good. The only thing we are doing in the National Assembly is to make sure the objective of the president is being achieved.
Senator, two things I would like us to clarify. Would you say that project since 2016 is a failure?
No. It has started very well. But you know, everything with Nigerians, after some time, indiscipline will creep in, corruption will come in, lack of transparency will come in, and I think after 4 years, will there be no need for review? That's just what the National Assembly is saying. The beginning, it has achieved a lot. We are from the states, we are from the local governments, we are from the villages. We know who are the most vulnerable in the society, and we knew how this program started. Can she say the program is as it was at the beginning? It is not. I came from Bauchi. I was in the House of Assembly in Bauchi. I was in the House of Representatives. I'm now in the Senate. I know the beginning of this program. I have been in the committee for 8 good years now. And I'm privileged to be the chairman of the committee for 2 good terms. And I've been contacting Mrs. Uwais to make sure these things we are observing are corrected. The woman refused. She made it an individual affair. Luckily enough, this program is now back to a ministry. We suggested to the ministry, it is the National Assembly that suggested to the ministry that there is a need for a review. And you can't tell me that after 4 years, there isn't any need for a review of the program.
Quickly, another area, I told you 2 things. A lot of Nigerians want to know whether or not that program is a failure. You said it's not a failure, but it started well, but has not gone well so far.
Yes, nobody can
the other area, Senator, is what some of the things Nigerians also want to know is that a lot of them who are at home right now who want to get a palliatives in the same structure which you say is failing is what is supposed to be used now. Are you afraid that those monies are not going into the right hands?
Those monies are not going into the right hand, but the monies are going. Take, for example, the homegrown school feeding. It started with women in the village getting 80,000 naira per woman per month. Per month. Now it ended up women getting 20,000. Go to Bauchi State, go to any other state. The inequity I was telling you is, can you explain a reason why at the beginning Sokoto, Zamfara, and Kebbi are having a number of beneficiaries, but now in Kebbi State, 160,000 are beneficiaries. In Zamfara State, 70,000 are beneficiaries, and in Sokoto State, only 37,000 are beneficiaries. Where is the equity?
Right.
How
Senator,
can you tell me that? What parameters was used to get these people?
Senator, let's get a view of one of those who believe that those who are of the opinion that this program is working, and perhaps the position of the National Assembly may not be totally true. Mr. Segun Tomori is a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. Mr. Tomori, what would be your reaction when they say this program is failing, the monies are not going to the right hands?
I think we need to distinguish between what was happening in NSIP when it was under the office of the vice president and what is happening now under the new minister. I think it is a sign of appalling incompetence for the minister, after 8 months of assumption of office, to be saying she's still battling to understand the program. And I think that is what is the genesis of the problem, at the National Assembly, because they asked some questions and she couldn't give categorical answers on what is happening to the program. Distinguished senator here said, okay, maybe there are some problems with how they generate the people that are on the program. But I want to tell you that, the way the beneficiaries are generated are done transparently. There's what they call the National Social Register, which was generated in collaboration with the World Bank and the states, to make sure that the vulnerable and the real poor people are those that are beneficiaries of the NSIP. And it has been working, at least. You cannot say every program would work 100%. But I can say, to Nigerians that from 2016 to last year, before the minister took over, it has been working largely well. And majority of Nigerians, the poor people, the vulnerable people, that within the budgetary framework that the program can cater to, are benefiting. For instance, since 2016, there was this headline that came into being that 2 trillion naira has been released for the program. That's not true. In the 3 or almost 4 years of the program, the total amount of the released cash was 619 billion naira out of the supposedly 2 trillion, which is 500 billion yearly. But the total amount released was cumulatively 619 billion. And a lot has been done. We have the conditional cash transfer. We have the Empower, in which 500,000 young graduates were employed. We have the non-graduate category of Empower, that also tens of thousands of youths in tech, in creativity, and all that were engaged.
Mr. Tomori, apologies if I may quickly put it, please. Let me clarify.
And all that. And I think that...
Mr. Tomori, let me quickly put this in. You were saying that it worked well until the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs took over. But interestingly, it's the same structure which was operative under when it was being run under the office of the vice president that the woman took over. It's just that the creation of the ministry was the only thing that was different. True or false?
Well, you cannot say that, because we've seen that the new minister has been authoritarian. She's not carrying people, that were working in the office along before, that made the implementation seamless. We have people like the SSA to the president on social investment, Barrister Ismail Ahmed. We have young people like Mohammed Brahma, special assistant to the president on job creation. We have people like Afolabi Imokwede, senior special assistant to the president on job creation. That were the drivers of this program. This woman, if she really knows her onions, is supposed to form a team, a nucleus around these people.
We'll go on a break now, but interestingly, what you're picking in, the woman has said, look, the minister at that briefing said there were intrigues in the operation and in the operation of the SIP. before she took over. I mean, isn't that, what does that point at?
I didn't get that. I didn't get that question very well.
The minister mentioned at that briefing, she said there are intrigues in the distribution. Isn't that suggesting a question mark on the initial handlers?
Well, I don't understand what she means by there are intrigues. Sheung, I don't understand. But if you are a minister, if you are made a manager, you are supposed to improve on the processes of a program. A program cannot be 100% perfect. So if the president, or in his wisdom, thinks that, okay, this program is germane to Nigeria's fight against poverty, and decides to institutionalize it and brings a ministry, you as a minister, you as a competent manager, should fine-tune the processes and, solve any
Mr. Tomori, apologies.
that you notice in it.
Let's take a break. We'll go on our break on the program, but when we come back, we hear also for one person that perhaps was in the process or was in that system of implementing this program from our Maiduguri studio, and we hear more on what this means for Nigeria and for those who are expecting the palliatives. That's after the break. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. There is a disagreement. If you're wondering why you have not gotten the palliatives as promised by President Muhammadu Buhari, I've seen a lot of people complain about the Empower program, the fact that though they've not gotten monies or food has been promised, some of the palliatives that are being arranged have not come. Let's take a look at some of the palliatives as promised. If you're looking forward to some of these and you're wondering why they have not come, that is what we're discussing tonight on the program. And my panel tonight from our Abuja studio, the Senator Lawal Gumau is the Chairman Senate Committee on Poverty Alleviation and the SIP, and Mr. Segun Tomori is a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. And from our Maiduguri studio is Mr. Grema Terab, is a public affairs analyst and a former chairman of the Borno State Emergency Management Agency. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight on the program. There is a list of what the president promised, but it looks like that is not being delivered in what sense. The minister who is in charge, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, met the National Assembly, and the National Assembly leadership says, this is not going well. It's not going to the poorest of the poor as it was planned. That gets us talking. Let me get Mr. Terab, who has not spoken on the program tonight, to get his thought. Mr. Terab, when you were the chairman of the Emergency Management Agency in Borno State, did the SIP work? Because there are some who believe that it's not getting to the people who should get it. First-hand information from you, who has always been on the field.
Thank you very much for having me on your studio. We have a responsive state government that is shouldering the palliative measures or whatever so-called or relief material that is supposed to be meant for the people that have been bedeviled by disaster. The SIP has been existent throughout the country, but for us here in Maiduguri, we can't say we don't have anything like the social investment program. The government has appointed a special advisor to run the affairs of the social investment program. The school feeding program is going on. The Empower program is going on. Conditional cash transfer, has been going on, and most especially in the IDP camps. Most vulnerable people and the poor of the poorest have been benefiting from the IDP camps. But to be on the safer side, the state government is more up and doing than the federal government, because almost all the burden lies with the state government, and the government always is at the forefront in confronting any kind of emergency or disaster measures, and is always at the forefront when it comes to palliative measures or reaching out to the vulnerable of the society.
So, Sarah, apologies if I may butt in. We're trying to get a sense of, especially from you, who as being a first responder in some of these issues, we want to get a sense of whether or not the social investment program has worked in the real sense of it, because the state also took charge of some of these. The state government are used or are served as the handlers in their state. When you were the chairman of the Emergency Management Agency, did that program work at all? Did the people, did those monies, did the food get to those poorest of the poor that were targeted?
What I'm saying is that the program exists, but the state government's program is in a larger magnitude. The state government program supersedes that of the social investment program. Whatever that is coming into the state, it is coming in small numbers. But that of the state government supersedes, overcomes the higher percentage of whatever that is coming from the federal government or wherever that it comes from. The state government is the #1 responsive manager of all forms of humanitarian disaster in the state. So whatever that is coming from all quarters, be it NEDC, be it NGOs, be it the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Development, be it National Emergency Management Agency, yeah, it's a very good support. It's a very good compliment. But what the state government does in the state, I can assure you, and you can find out by yourself, it is far much more better than whatever anybody is bringing into the state.
All right, let's get back to Senator Gumau. Senator, can you tell us anyone that you know that should be on this program that is not currently benefiting?
Yes, but Sheon, let me explain to you, having heard from my brother here, who is also a stakeholder in the program, having heard from Maiduguri, I want you to understand that what we are saying in the National Assembly is not that this program should be stopped. And the minister, the newly appointed minister, did not stop any of the program of NISP. The minister did not stop N-Power, did not stop homegrown feeding, did not stop cash transfer, did not stop JIP. These programs are still going, as said to you by this man from Maiduguri. What we are saying is that as a committee of the National Assembly, it is our responsibility to oversight the functions of this program. After our oversight, we realize that there are shortcomings, there are a lot of discrepancies between what is the objective of Mr. President and what is happening on the ground in the states. Just as the person from Maiduguri is telling you now, he was telling you that the performance of the state government is beyond that of the federal government. And I'm telling you, the money pumped in to the program, budgeted and approved by the National Assembly, cannot have any state performing better than the federal. What we are saying is that let us review this program without stopping it. And I bet you to ask anybody, no cash transfer has been stopped, no homegrown feeding has been stopped, no N-Power has been stopped, and no JIP has been stopped. Right. Anybody who tells you that the minister has come and stopped anything is not true. The minister is doing her best. What we are saying that whenever there is a change in Nigeria, there must be change cost.
All right, Senator, just a moment. There is important for us to, for viewers to know what also went down at that moment. But quickly, there's some breaking news coming in. The United Kingdom Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, has been moved out of intensive care unit after COVID-19 treatment. She spent about 2 nights or so there. United Kingdom Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, moved out of intensive care after COVID-19 treatment. Let's take a look at what really went down, some of the soundbite of the minister's engagement with the National Assembly leadership, and we hear Mr. Tomari's reaction on it.
Today is a different and desperate situation. And in such a situation, we need to be better in terms of strategy for delivery, and definitely what we have been doing in the past cannot deliver exactly what will resolve or solve the challenges of the most ordinary and most vulnerable Nigerians. The first thing we need to do along with it is to codify what you're doing and put it in law. Then you would have been, that way will be shielding you We'll be shielding you from whatever criticism there is, because there will always be criticism in Nigeria. That's where we are. There will always be, but we need to insulate you from that.
These programs have been in existence since 2016. Now, when we came on board, we have to take time to really study these programs and understand them very well so that we can effectively improve on what is there. This is what we've been doing. I was faced with challenges, and we're still facing some of these challenges.
So snippets there. We need to close the program now, but let me get Mr. Tomori's response in 20 seconds to what you heard there. She said there are challenges and they're still facing those challenges.
Thank you, Shehu. I believe that after 8 months, anybody that, any minister worth its onions should have been abreast, should have gotten abreast of everything that is happening, in any program. So for her to still say she's still battling, with the program, to facing challenges, it shows a leadership shortfall. And to respond to what the distinguished said, that the minister did not stop. Nobody said the minister stopped the program. Okay. But we are not saying the kind of seamless implementation of the program like it was before.
Well, obviously out of time, Mr. Tomori, and Senator Lawal Gamau, thank you so much for coming. And also Mr. Terab for coming on tonight. Sincere thanks for your thoughts tonight. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye for now.